everyone, and welcome back to Talk Wordy, my hub for all of the words that I read, write, or otherwise want to yap about. Today, I am returning back to my solo setup. It's been a while, but I am currently snowed in here in Texas, and I thought I would get my yap on by myself while I am snowed in and not going anywhere. So today, I am giving you the belated breakdown of a trip that I recently went on with my friends. It was for a book tour stop, and I am reliving the glory day because it was just a one-day trip. I am reliving the glory day with you guys because I think it's important to talk about the fact that whenever I feel a sense of joy, I should just relive that experience, even when life is moving kind of slow, because my life is about to pick up really fast. If I thought January was very slow, February is going to move at a rapid pace. So I thought I would go back and just kind of jog my memory about a joyful time that I had with my friends, but also to talk about the fact that book tour trips or bookish trips are such a wonderful way to practice self-care. This past year, I went on a solo trip just to, go see a concert and explore a city that I like. And it was fabulous, but actually going on a book trip was everything to me, and it's time that I tell you about it. Now, I did do a really condensed day in my life TikTok vlog about this trip, so you probably already know some of the details about this story, but I don't care. I'm going to talk about it. And stay tuned at the end of this episode because this story has a really, really cool tie-in that I actually get to announce publicly because it's confirmed. So, story time, and stick around to the end. Okay, y'all. Lock in. Let's get into it. So, if you don't know, on top of being an author, I am a huge reader. I was actually a reader first. I didn't love books all the time growing up, but around 7th grade, I was really depressed. I feel like that's always a great way to find the bookish universe is like, oh, if you're depressed, pick up a book. No, you're not going to find emotional healing. You're going to actually be traumatized even more. And all those problems in your real life, you're not even going to think about that compared to the fictional death of this beloved character that was everything to you and you emotionally resonated with. But anyways, I had a lot of life situations going on at the ripe age of 13. And I fell into the literary universe of any book I could potentially consume. And it was the best time ever. It was a great escape and it was everything to me. But I did not have a lot of people in my life that also enjoyed literature with my love of books. And then I discovered BookTube. And if you know me, you know exactly where I'm going with this. But BookTube, I don't want to over dramatize it and say that BookTube saved my life. I was not on the verge, but man, when you're a middle schooler and you think that the world is ending because this one person in class doesn't talk to you or somebody gossiped about you, BookTube in that sense did save my life. But BookTube just really changed my perspective. It's like, oh, there are so many cool people out there that books are one of the most dominant interests of theirs, and their personality really shines when they talk about books. And I just fell down the rabbit hole of BookTube. I'm talking Catty-tastic, Jessie the Reader, Natasha Polis, oh my dear Lord, I was in deep. But there was no other booktuber that I consumed content from more than Christine Riccio, otherwise known as Poland Bananas Books. I'm the eldest daughter and I have a younger brother, and I never had a sister figure. I don't have a sister, period. And this is what, in a parasocial way, it was like I was getting to virtually interact with an older sister that had the exact same interests as I did, but with a spunkier personality. And she was not afraid to be absolutely off the walls, bonkers, insane. And I loved that about her. I thought that she was the coolest person ever, and I still do. I watched her for, almost a decade now. Yeah, more than a decade, because I started watching her in 2013. And I'm obviously, we are past 2023. So, I watched her as often as I could. It didn't matter if she was reviewing books that I had no intention of reading, or if she was doing skits at BookCon with all her friends, all her music videos. Like, I did deep dives. It was embarrassing. All this to say, in 2019, she published her first book. She went booktuber turned author, and the premise of her first book, I was so locked in. I feel like she wrote me to filth. I thought that I couldn't like her more than I already did. And then that book came out, and and even before the book came out, she was documenting like her author process. And, I was a one-person writing factory, and I didn't tell very many people that I wrote. I would watch her writing saga videos and watched her acquire an agent and get representation and publish the book. And I was like, I that's exactly what I want to do. She's like, I love that I get to see every single behind the scenes step. Like, I feel so seen, and it was just so cool. And then she did it again with her other books. She has 4 books out now, but I never got to see her in person ever, not once. I think there was only one time that she went to Dallas, and I just somehow didn't know about it. Crazy. But when she was releasing her 4th book, she released it on, I think, New Year's Day. 30, Flirty, and Forever Alone. That's what the book is called. It's her adult romance debut. I'm in the middle of reading it right now, and it's freaking hilarious. She was coming to Texas for a book tour stop, which to me was completely unheard of. I feel like besides the one Dallas date that I missed, I had never seen her like mention Texas whatsoever. And so I have a few friends of mine, Thomas and Abigail, and we basically hatched this plan. It's like, okay, tickets are like maybe $20 after tax. We need to go see her immediately. And I took it one step further. I was like, I don't care what is going on that day. I don't care what I'm supposed to do otherwise. It's getting canceled. We are getting there early. We are sitting front row. Absolutely no exceptions. You cannot argue with me. And if you want to argue with me, you can drive yourself. Like, I love you guys. I'm not doing anything less. This is one of my biggest, if not my biggest, like bookish hero ever, hands down. Like, I'm pulling out whatever stops I can to make this happen. And they were on board. And so come January 11th, I think that was the day of our trip. I piled my 2 friends and all of our stuff and her backlog of books that we brought to get signed. We piled up in my truck, and we drove 4 hours to Georgetown, Texas. If you've never been to Georgetown, actually, like, you need to go. It's adorable. It's maybe 30 miles outside of Austin, and I love Austin. But if Austin is too, like, busy for you, Georgetown is a really good, I don't want to say consolation, but it's a quieter version. You can see the little tidbits of kind of the oddball culture, but it's also very home style, very quaint. So we get down there, we leave at like 11 a.m. And mind you, the event does not start until 7 p.m. We leave our house at like, I think I picked everyone up around 11 a.m. or something like that. We drove straight through lunch. We finally stopped and got a like really late lunch at this place called Good Folks off of the Georgetown Square. I had the best ever truffle mac and cheese I've ever had in my entire life there. I cannot make this up, you guys. I will be thinking about that truffle mac and cheese for a long, long time. Like, I would schedule a road trip for myself just to go down there and have the truffle mac and cheese. We went there. We had like these really good homemade biscuits and chicken and like really like, I'm telling you, homestyle is the only word I can come up with, but it was just this perfect Southern cooking, home style, warm, clean restaurant fusion. It was so peaceful and relaxing. And then afterwards we like walked the square, and we were talking about Emily Henry books because I hadn't seen The People We Meet on Vacation movie yet, but I was in the middle of reading the book. We talked about, for some reason, I think we spent a long time talking about like the Hunger Games. We were just solely talking about books. And that right there is the key to what makes a good bookish road trip. You genuinely do not stop talking about books the entire time that you're out there. My friend Thomas, who went with us, he's been working on this massive, beastly Sarah J. Maas English thesis for months. And he's been religiously rereading the books because obviously he has to use them for citations and references. He spent, and this is not a dig, it's just like the plethora of knowledge in this guy's head is bonkers. He talked about Sarah J. Maas for at least half of the car ride down to Georgetown, 2 hours or so. It was insane, but I didn't want to be anywhere else. It was everything. And then we were talking about the Hunger Games franchise. We're theorizing about what that third book that Suzanne Collins is contracted for is about. So after lunch, we go back to the bookstore. So this event is at Lark and Owl. And if you've never been to Lark and Owl, but you're close by to Lark and Owl, please go step in. It's the cutest little bookstore. They have a really great little coffee shop. I think it's called Alouette. The staff is just so lovely. They are wonderful. Also so helpful. Sometimes at certain bookstores, I get scared to ask the staff for recommendations or, hey, I can't find this book on the shelves. Do you have it? Or can I place an order? Sometimes I get a little intimidated. Everyone there was so nice. Please go. I think it's Allie Hazelwood goes there a lot. She's a really big contributor for them. And Allie's a doll. And it makes sense because Lark and Owl, they're all wonderful. Okay. Continuing on. We went back to Lark and Owl. Mind you, it is now 4 p.m. We still have 3 hours until the actual event starts. And so I was prepared for this. I had, another book that I brought. I brought my Kindle. I was ready to be entertained. But truthfully, I just wanted to soak up time with my friends. And so what did we do? We played card games. I have never had so much fun playing card games as I have since I learned of the game Mao. It's like Uno, but with a regular deck of cards. And then you make up your own rules as the game goes on. Literally, that's all I can tell you without going down a rabbit hole that lasts about 30 minutes. It was so fun. And truly, it ate up 2.5 of the 3 hours that we were waiting. And so finally, after all the card games were finished, we looked and saw that they were setting up the chairs for the event. And I was on high alert because, like I said, I did not come here to sit second row. I did not come here to sit anything but first row. And that sounds super high maintenance, but I'm really not that high maintenance about a lot of things except this. People are always like, don't meet your heroes. And I've never understood that because I've never wanted to meet a hero more in my whole life. Truly, the impact that BookTube and specifically Christine has had on my life without sounding like an insane person. You could put me in a hallway and there are 2 doors in front of me. And you could say, okay, in room A is Christine Riccio. And then in room B, there is Leonardo DiCaprio and a slew of other A-list actors. You can only go in one room. Where are you going? Absolutely no hesitation. I'm going in room A immediately. I wouldn't even blink. Also, because I'm 25 now, so why would Leonardo DiCaprio even want me? No, literally, you guys, for my birthday this year, I had a burn away cake where after you lit the cake, it burned away and revealed that one meme image of Leonardo DiCaprio where he's like, no, don't turn 25, you're so sexy. Okay, anyways. So yeah, I did not drive 4 hours to sit second row, especially when I was waiting in the venue 3 hours before the event started. Once they started setting up chairs, I basically had one of my friends, because I had talked to the staff too much that day and I didn't want to be oppressive or, a lot. Aggressive is maybe the better word, but you know what I'm saying. So I had a friend, one of my friends, I don't remember which one it was. I sent them back to the staff and was like, can we put our stuff down? Can we pick one of our chairs? And one of the staff members was generous enough to be like, yes, you can go set your stuff down. Me and my friends did not just sit front row. We sat front row dead center. Dead center. They weren't even in the bookstore yet, and I died dead. As soon as I sat down in the chair and I looked at how close the actual, like, speaker chairs were from my chair, I was like, oh my gosh, I could play footsie with my bookish heroes, because this is where my luck really just, like, went through the roof. So I told you, BookTube raised me. And while Christine was like my OG, like she's my number one. My close number two, especially in adulthood, is Natasha Polis, Miss Tashopolis herself. They created a podcast together called Those Forking Fangirls, and I watch them so often. Do I get to watch it every week? Now I do, because I have an opening in my schedule, but that podcast truly, like, it was one of my, like, inspirations that I started, like, drawing from, of like, okay, well, I like this podcast. I like the way they operate to form what is now Talk Wordy, what you're listening to. So they're very influential in multiple ways, Christine and Natasha. And so when the tour lineup started, when they announced that Christine was going on tour and she was coming to Texas and all her other stops, every other stop, when they first announced it, had a moderator. But then for some reason, Austin didn't have one. And I was confused. I was like, okay, I guess maybe they're just going to pull one of their staff members to do the Q&A. Okay, like, cool. It's just weird that we're the only one without a moderator. And then it got announced that Natasha was going to fly. My heart is beating out of my chest saying it, even though it's already happened. Like, this happened weeks ago. And I'm acting, it feels like I'm seeing the news break for the first time. She was going to fly from California to do the event. She was going to moderate. And I was like, what do you mean that I'm, number one, going to meet Christine? That's wild enough for me. Number two, I'm going to meet Natasha. Number three, I'm going to be in the room for an unofficial live event for Those Forking Fangirls. Like, it's not for them, but in my heart, it is as well. Like, it could have kind of bleed into each other. I was so stoked. I could not believe or fathom my luck. And again, that reinforced my psychotic tendency to stuff my friends in my vehicle and get there and get front row. So we got front row. Praise Jesus, hallelujah. It was a time of my life. So we're sitting there. Also, mind you, before we even grabbed our seats, I forgot this one thing. After we grabbed our seats, but not too close to when the event started, my friend Thomas reminded me that him and I had written letters to Christine and Natasha, because we both knew that when we got up in front of our idols, our heroes, we were probably going to draw a blank or sputter and not form complete sentences out of just joy. So we had ahead of time written letters, but I had left them in my vehicle. So I told them, I was like, hey, hold my seat, like, just hang out. I'm going to go back to the truck and I'll go grab them. They were in my back seat. And so I was leaving the store, and there's like this little front alcove to the left when you're leaving the store. And usually, I mean, I always peruse over there because they have books over there. I thought somebody and their friend was just like, looking at the books on the shelf over there. And so I'm low-key kind of hustling out of the store, and passively, I just looked through my peripheral vision at who's at the front, and I was like, oh, okay. And I register that it's Christine and Natasha there, but I don't process it until I'm like halfway to the parking lot. I was like, wait a minute. I literally walked past them. I'm pretty sure they looked at me. They were filming the first part of a TikTok, which also, if you don't know anything about Christine, homegirl loves a musical skit TikTok moment, and that's everything to me. That is also like in my soul. That's my personal brand. And so I was like, I'm witnessing history. It's literally like Effie from Catching Fire when she's like, history was made here. I geeked. I was in the parking lot when I finally like processed that was them. And I was like, okay, on the way back, if they're still there, maybe wave at them or just smile. don't be psychotic. Just act normal, please. Also psychotic tendency. I made them friendship bracelets because I know they're Swifties, and I just wanted to give them some cute little trinkets to show my appreciation and my love. The longer I talk about this story, the more I'm starting to think, oh dear goodness, I need a lobotomy. The admiration and love I have for these women, even though they don't know me personally, is funny. And I just have to roll with it. My underarms are starting to sweat because I'm getting cringed out by myself. So I'm just going to keep going. Anyways, so I get the letters out of my car and I walk back and I can see them in the window. They are still in that corner. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually not going to engage because I don't want to be weird. And so I come through the door and I see them in my periphery again. And so I just smile to myself. I don't really smile at them because if they're filming, I don't want to distract. But I cast a glance to look at their outfits. Please tell me why these women are the most stylish women in the bookish universe ever. Their wardrobe was everything to me. Everything to me. I was like, I would raid your closet. So I go sit back down. I'm talking to Thomas and Abigail, and I bump into one of my friends who's also back where we live, but I didn't know she was coming. So we all kind of hung out together in the front row, and it was a great time. People started coming in. They started filling in the seats, and I was turned. So where my chair was front and center, but there was an aisle in the middle in case somebody needed to walk through. So the open aisle was on my right-hand side. Otherwise, I was in the center. And I'm turned to my left, and I'm talking to Thomas and Abigail and Evie, and we're having a great time. I'm in the middle of saying something to Thomas or Abigail, one of them. I was in the middle of saying something to one of them, and I just see Thomas's eyes go comically wide. And then the mental image is giving me the giggles. He just I don't know what he mouthed, but he mouthed something and was like, look that way. And so I was like, I don't understand. Because there were still 10 minutes before the event started. I turn to my right and Natasha's kind of squatting down to my seated level. And she goes, hey, so sorry to interrupt. I'm Natasha. And I was like, I'm shaking. Hi? You want me to shake your hand? I was like, but it's have you ever seen those videos of Taylor Swift where Taylor Swift introduces herself? She's like, hi, I'm Taylor. And everyone's like, we know you're Taylor. That was that moment. And so I shake her hand. I don't even remember how good or terrible of a handshake it was. I'm just going to try not to overanalyze that. But I shook her hand and I was like, I'm Sydney. I love you. And she goes, will you do me a big favor? And I was like, sure. She goes, so you know how to do video on the phone, right? I was like, oh yeah. She goes, will you just make sure? She had her phone on a tripod and she stuck it in the middle of the aisle. And she was like, can you just make sure that this stays on and records the whole thing, the whole conversation? And I was like, oh, sure. Yeah, of course. She left her phone there. The event starts. And spoiler alert, I absolutely kill it with the videography. I had to do anything. It was just on a tripod. They come out and the event was absolutely lovely. But just one of my favorite details is that Christine doesn't sit still. She cannot sit still or sit in one posture to save her life. And I love that for her. She, was constantly standing up, sitting on her leg, sitting straight, crossing her leg, moving around, leaning in the chair. I felt so seen because I had to sit still. I couldn't move like that. But I was getting that little anxious, neurotic, foot tapping because I couldn't move around. And so watching her move around, I was like, we see each other. Low-key, I think I blacked out during the actual event, when she was talking about, the book and the other books and what she has coming up. Q&A starts to happen, or it wraps up, whatever. And I was like, I'm just going to save my questions for when I see her personally. And we were doing group pictures. We did the TikTok that she filmed, the hot and cold TikTok, which was so freaking fun. And then I think it was Natasha. She was like, oh my gosh, we didn't take pictures like actually during the talk. And so Christine handed me her phone. She was like, can you take our picture? And I froze. I was like, yeah. I had no words. And so I took the phone. But as they were getting situated for the picture, I had Christine's phone in my hands. And I turned to my friend Abigail and I was like, if you don't film this, I will kill you. Because Abigail was vlogging the whole trip. And I was like, if you do not vlog this, I will kill you. Because was I ever going to get a moment like this ever again? Probably not. And so I took the picture. They were doing, different poses and stuff. And I was getting it in the flash photography. And I handed it back to him and I was like, if they ask me to redo these pictures, I might actually drown myself. Because again, like I said, I'm a photographer and I pride myself on getting photos right. And so she looked at the photos. She goes, oh, these are really good. And I was like, oh, praise. Thank God you love them. And so after the tour and like the stop was over and we got home and we went to bed, like the next day when she posted the pictures, I nearly had a conniption fit because I was like, oh my gosh, like I took that picture. The thing about going on a bookish trip or a book tour stop or any kind of bookish related outing is that the most insignificant moments to anybody else outside of the bookish sphere, the littlest moments to them are the biggest moments to us. Truly, the feeling of just interacting with people I've looked up to for so long and who are achieving dreams that I in part also am trying to chase down. It is the equivalent to watching the fireworks show at Disney World. And if you're not a Disney adult, just shut up. I already know you're going to make fun of me and I don't care. It's magical. I cry every time. That's what it felt like inside. And just because I was taking their picture and I was making sure that Natasha's phone didn't go off. I am very easy to please. I understand that. But I bask in it. I own it. I embrace it. So the Q&A ends and it's time for the signing line. They go over to a side table. I get my letter and my friendship bracelets and my composure together. And even though we have a long drive ahead, the event was not super big. Larkin Owl's kind of a smaller establishment. So, there were a bunch of people, but I looked at the line and I was like, you guys, I think we should just go at the end. That way, we're not worried about the line behind us. We're not rushed. We can, just enjoy and we can spend more time together in line. We were playing games while we were waiting in line and just talking and catching up. And finally, when we got to them, I went dead last. I told my friends, I was like, hey, respectfully, can I please go dead last? I have to shoot my shot about something, and I really, I would love for it to be the last thing on their mind. And I drove everyone, so I guess they were like, oh, yeah, sure. Kings and queens, all of them, love them. One by one, they were going. And when I tell you another thing about, going into the bookish space, an event, for me, watching my friends interact with my heroes who are also their heroes. Also, I need it to be stated for the record that Christine and Natasha were absolutely bloody lovely to everybody. They never had an off moment where their energy dipped. They were nice and playful and fun with everybody. And that is not something that I see at most book places, because a lot of times authors get worn out from seeing so many people and kind of having that same start-stop conversation with everybody. They were wonderful with everybody. And so by the time it was our turn and I was watching my friends get to interact with them, I was in shambles. I could not keep it together. I was in tears and it wasn't my turn yet. And I I was like, this is exactly what I have been looking forward to since the minute she announced she was coming to Texas. This moment, not even my moment with them, but just watching my friends get that time with them and like seeing everybody just so happy all around. It did not matter how tired we were. It did not matter that we had 4 hours until we got back into our county. I did not go to bed until 3 a.m. By that point, it was like 10-ish, 10 p.m. or so. I did not care. I no longer was tired. My feet didn't hurt anymore from standing in line. Like it was everything I had ever wanted and dreamed of for me and my friends. And it was so special. And then it was my turn. And come to think of it, now that I'm sitting down and talking about it, like I had a lineup, like a list of things I wanted to ask them about. I don't remember much of them. I did tell them about my Dancing with the Stars rom-com because they had gone to Romance Con as those Forking fangirls. Well, Christine was going as an author, but they did a live podcast at Romance Con for those Forking fangirls. And at the end, Christine was like, I really wish there were more like reality TV rom-coms, like a Dancing with the Stars rom-com would be so cool. And I had so many friends that either went to the convention or like listened to the podcast tell me about that. And so I was like, okay, then if I ever get to see her, I have to tell her that I wrote one. And so I did. I just wanted to be like, I know this is like super deep lore, like only a few people probably that were like in the building at the time know that you said that, but it got passed to me. So I needed to inform you that I have one. And I was like, if I ever get this thing published, which again, I really hope so. I'm going to go on sub with it this year. But if that ever gets a book deal, by God, I want her to blurb that thing. I either want her to blurb it or I just want to send her an advance copy. I don't care. I want her to have it in some capacity. So I told her about that. And then it was time to shoot my shot. And you're probably wondering, Sydney, what did you shoot your shot for? What are you talking about? Well, at the time, I couldn't speak about it publicly yet, but I wanted, again, to shoot my shot. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And she was right there in front of me. I wasn't not going to ask her this. I had a big event in my calendar, a bookish event that low-key kind of revolved around me, which is very rare for me. I was very excited. So like I said, I'm a big fan of their podcast, and my podcast kind of spawned partially off of how they inspired me. And so I told them that I had a podcast and I interview other authors. I've recently started interviewing some really big authors. Like I just recently interviewed one of my first ever New York Times bestseller, like #1 New York Times bestselling author. All that to say, I was telling Christine and Natasha that I was interviewing authors on my podcast and I was having a blast. But I finally got to share the news with somebody, with them specifically, that I was set to do a live podcast at Love LitCon in San Diego for February. Sort of like what they did at Romance Con. Like I'll have my own setup, and instead of it being a panel though, I'm going to get to go and I'm going to get to interview multiple authors like in the morning before they go to their signing times. I didn't have any authors lined up yet because we hadn't publicly announced it. The managers and the sponsors behind it, because the sponsors asked me to be their like front-facing sponsorship asset because they don't have a podcast to do a live podcast for. I like work with them. So I was like, hear me out. I'm coming to Love LitCon. You're still going to Love LitCon, right? And she's like, yes, I can't wait. I'm so excited. I was like, great. What are the chances? Is there any world in which you would even entertain the idea of being an author guest on my podcast? And I like braced myself. I was like, I'm ready for the no. It's okay. It's okay. I'm just a little girl. I'm just a stranger. I'm talking to an icon in this space and asking her to be on my podcast. I'm scared. This could go one of two ways, and one of those ways is gonna suck if it's a no. And she was like, oh my gosh, yeah, just email me. And I was like, email you? I understand that business transactions take place over email. I get that. But again, imagine your hero just said, hey girl, email me. Pardon? And I was like, oh, is it in your link tree? She was like, yeah, just shoot me an email and we could work it out. I was like, okay, that's great. Oh my gosh, yay, that sounds so fun. Yeah, I'll get in contact. To this day, I have not gotten in contact, but that's because the sponsors got in contact with her, and I found out today that she is locked in. God! Yeah, that's the first time I'm saying it aloud. She's locked in. I'm going to get to interview my biggest bookish hero. I can't even wrap my brain around it. Now, mind you, I'm also interviewing a ton of other authors at this convention, and I'm ecstatic. I don't know who those other authors are yet, though. This is not to discredit any of the other authors that I'm getting to interview. I don't know who's in my lineup yet. I find out tomorrow. All I know is that the sponsor got with me today and said, hey, she's on lock, just letting you know. And I don't know how to handle myself. I feel like I could run a mile, but the problem is I can't run a mile because I am snowed and iced in my house right now. I can't run. I could slip and slide for a mile, but I can't go running. I have all of this energy and absolutely nothing to do with it. Maybe I'll go put on like a Just Dance workout and get the human zoomies out of my system. But yeah, you guys, not only am I going to get to do a live podcast at a pretty darn big book convention, but on said live podcast, I'm going to get to interview Christine. Somebody pinch me. I don't know what to do. I mean, obviously I'm going to prepare. It's going to be fine. It's going to be a blast. I just don't know how to contain myself right now. And I'll have time to, decompress a little. I'll be normal. It'll be great. Yeah, I have no idea what to do with myself right now. I am beside myself with enthusiasm. And not just about her, but like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get to interview, I think it's 18 authors at this convention. Hello? And then like face-to-face interview. Mind you, all of the interviews that I've done author-wise for my podcast has been virtual, which I love interacting with them. It's so fun, but I am such a face-to-face girly. And I get to be face-to-face with 18 incredible authors at this convention. Also, if you are going to Love Lit Con, I just want to shout out the fact that because it's a live setup, you can come and sit and watch these podcasts happening. So if you by chance listen to this podcast and you are hearing this story about how over the moon I am about Christine Riccio, you can come in the convention and watch me try to not explode spontaneously while talking with her. It'll be a blast. You can watch me fight for my life affectionately. Yeah, you guys, it took me so many takes to figure out how to actually announce that because it still doesn't feel real. And even when there's like a part of me that's like, oh, this is happening, it starts to resonate with me like, oh my God, this is happening. Like, how do I chill? How do I act normal? The answer is, I don't. I just hope that by the time February rolls around, I am good. So that is the narration of my bookish trip to Georgetown and a little introduction for my next bookish trip to freaking San Diego. My husband has never been to California, and so he's going to come. He's my producer, so he's going to help us tow all of our equipment, our lights, our sound, everything. He's going to make it look so good. The reason why my audio is crisp is because of this man. Please thank him in the comments below. I'm so excited. 20 hours in the car though, one way. That's going to be a little rough. Our marriage is going to be tested. Not really. I love him and I love road trips. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait. I'm so beyond ecstatic. I feel like saying all of this aloud is the first time that I'm coming to terms with the fact that not just cool things, but big things are happening with this podcast. And when I first set out to make this podcast, genuinely, it was for kicks and giggles. That's it. Like, I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to talk about the things that made me happy. Not even a month into doing my podcast, I started getting to have these awesome connections with authors and reading their books in advance and talking about their journeys. And as an author on submission who's trying to break into traditional publishing, but also as an author that has been through the indie journey as well, connecting with these authors and like watching them do all the things that like I want to do and I want to get there for. Past me would have thought that I'd be extremely jealous, but I'm just so proud of them and honored to even be in their proximity. I'm so blessed. I'm so happy. But yeah, I really thought this podcast was just going to be for leisure. And in the waiting for a book deal, because that was my biggest dream for a long time, and it still is. I want a book deal sometimes more than I want my next meal. I want the fruits of my labor there to, turn into something. But in the waiting season for the book deal, waiting for that time to be right, I feel like this podcast has just soared to new heights that I really didn't think it was going to achieve in the first 3 years. And I've been doing this podcast for not even 6 months. And that's just a testament to the Lord. That is not a testament to me. That is a testament to the Lord. But I also think it's a testament to the fact that I just didn't quit on this podcast, because podcasting, I feel like a lot of people, they want to start a podcast so bad and then they just like taper off after, 5 episodes or so, because it's a lot of time that you have to invest. But really, like, I've been able to make this podcast into what it is because I'm in a season of waiting. Like, I have so much time on my hands. And frankly, if I don't use that time to distract myself from not having a book deal yet, I'm going to go insane. And so this podcast has not just been like a passion project, it's been a safe haven. And so I just want to say, first of all, thanks to God for the fact that it's at this state. But also thank you to you for tuning in every week. I can't believe that there are people out there that would even tolerate me speaking for a long stretch of time every single week. And you just like willingly consume that. That's crazy to me, but it means the world, you guys. Because of you, I actually get to have an opportunity like this. I really can't be thankful, like more thankful than I already am. I'm running out of words. I'm running out of brain power. Because I'm just in a state of like, oh my gosh. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for tuning in to Talk Wordy. Both this episode and every episode before that. This episode was so fun. I love getting to relive one of the coolest days of my life. Like, I understand that we're only like 20 something days into the year when I'm filming this. And, I've lived a lot of life in my 25 years, but this was a special one. This trip was a special one. And, this next one in February, going to Love Lit Con, this convention has the potential to change the trajectory of my life. So be thinking of me, be thinking of my husband while we travel. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. And until next time, I will see you in the next one.